When Adobe released Lightroom Desktop 8.0 last October, we got a new feature that I'd been waiting years for: Smart Albums. In fact, it's one of the features that I always missed most from my days using Lightroom Classic, although it's referred to Smart Collections there. But in true fashion, it's one thing to just bring a feature from Lightroom Classic over to desktop. It's another thing altogether to leverage Lightroom's capabilities to make it even more versatile and powerful. So in this video, I want to show you how I use Lightroom Smart Albums to make me a stronger photographer by using my time more effectively when I'm in the app. Before Smart Albums came into the picture, I'd spend a good chunk of my time looking for photos to edit from my entire catalog. Now with Smart Albums, I can accomplish that task in a fraction of the time, which lets me spend more time focusing on editing my photos rather than looking for them. Now, before we begin, there are 2 points that I need to make about Smart Albums. Currently, they're only available in Lightroom Desktop, so they won't be visible in Lightroom Mobile or Web. Also, Smart Albums only works with your cloud synced photos because Lightroom leverages server-side AI for some of the functionality that I'm going to show you. So with that, let's dive in. All right, so here we are in Lightroom Desktop, and I think the best thing to do to start off is just to tell you what a Smart Album is. Again, if you're a Lightroom Classic user, you have this functionality for the most part, and I'll explain that in a second, but they're called Smart Collections. The key difference between an album and a Smart Album in Lightroom Desktop has to do with how the photos get in there. So here, this is a regular album to share. So what that means is that as I go through my library, I have to manually add them to this album one at a time. A Smart Album uses criteria. So you can say, I want any photos that have this, or that. I want them automatically added to this Smart Album. And the best part is that it's dynamic, meaning when you create the Smart Album, Lightroom will go through your existing library of photos that are synced to the cloud. That's important too. It's only in the cloud because local does not have a concept of albums. It uses folders. But in cloud, we use folders, but then we use albums to actually store the photos. So Lightroom will look through all of the photos and add any photo that matches the criteria to that Smart Album. But what's cool is as you import photos in the future, down, like say next week, you take more photos and some of those photos match the criteria of your Smart Album, they'll automatically get added in. And that's what's so powerful. So let's walk through the basics of creating a Smart Album. I'm just going to go ahead here, click on this plus button, and then I'm going to select Create Smart Album. So the first thing I'm going to do is give this a title. So I'm just going to call this Smart Album because I'm so creative. If you want to put it into an existing folder, you can. If you don't see the folder here, then you'll want to create that folder first. But I'm just going to put it at the parent level. And then finally, you need to create the criteria of your Smart Album. And for the most part, this is the same as in Lightroom Classic. So again, if you're a Lightroom Classic user, most of what I'm going to show you will apply to you. So if you click on Add New Rule, you can see all of the different categories of criteria that you can add. So let's just say right off the bat, I want a Smart Album that was taken with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's just say I want that right off the bat. So I can actually go back here now and say all iPhone 15 Pro Max photos. And then I'm going to click on Create. And so now you can see all of these photos. If I look at the metadata up here, they were taken with the 15 Pro Max. But I can refine this even more. Let's say I right click and I go to Edit Smart Album. Let's say I go to Add New Rule. And I say, you know what? I just want to see JPEGs. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to select this JPEG, but I'm also going to select the other one just in case certain apps write it using the JPEG extension. So both of these. And so I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say all iPhone 15 Pro Max JPEG photos. And so you can see here how now they have been further refined to only show me JPEGs. And then let's say I go back one more time and I say, actually, I also want them to be only 4 stars. So I can go to ratings and I could say is 4 stars. And I could say all 4-star iPhone 15 Pro Max JPEG photos. And then boom, you can see these are all basically my 4-star iPhone 15 Pro Max JPEG photos. And I can go even further. One more time. Edit Smart Album, Add New Rule, and I want the orientation to be portrait or vertical. So I can say all vertical 4-star iPhone 15 Pro Max JPEG photos. And then boom, there you go. So as you can see, the sky's the limit. It's kind of based on your needs and your creativity of how you can maneuver the criteria menu options. So like you can get really specific. You can go by date. You can go by all kinds of things. And so what I want to do now that you kind of have a good idea of how a smart album works, I want to show you two very important ways that I use smart albums, again, to make me a stronger photographer. And what I mean by that, again, is not necessarily where I'm stronger in that it helps me take stronger compositions. Rather, I'm a big fan of being as efficient as I can in Lightroom. When I'm in Lightroom, I want to edit my photos. That's why I love Lightroom, is because I love the editing tools. Back in the day, I would spend a lot of time just going through my library, manually looking for unedited photos to edit. But now I can have some fun. And in this case, I'm going to showcase one of the powerful features that is only available in Lightroom Desktop. This is not available in Lightroom Classic, that makes Smart Albums so awesome. So the first use case for Smart Albums for me is I want to find all of the waterfall photos that I edited already because I want to be able to share them. As I edit my photos, I just want to make sure that I can find them easily, because while I have this manual album here, it's got everything that I've edited. And so sometimes it's like, where was that one waterfall photo that I edited? I cannot remember. So let's go ahead. I'm going to create a new smart album, and I'm going to call this edited waterfall photos. And so let's go ahead, and here's the power of the smart albums in Lightroom is there is this one criteria called search. And what search does is it leverages Sensei. So when you upload all of your photos to the cloud, Lightroom will actually analyze the photos, and you can do searches for certain things, elements of the photo or types of photos, without ever putting in metadata, either entering in title information or description or keywords. And let me tell you something, I am not a keyworder. I tried it back when I was in Lightroom Classic days. I just couldn't be bothered. That's just me. But I can still take advantage of finding photos using this AI-powered search. And so here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in the word waterfall. That's it. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that it's edited. So I'm going to go to this edited option here, and I'm going to make sure that it is edited. And so let's go ahead and click create. And so you can see here that Lightroom is adding all of these photos that were edited. Now, what does that mean, edited? Well, you can see on the bottom right of each of these thumbnails in the grid view, you see this little icon here. It looks like little slider settings. That means that a photo has been edited. If you hover over it, it'll say edited right there. But to me, honestly, that's not what I want. Remember, I said that I've got this album right here called To Share. And basically, these are all of my edited photos, but they've got 4 stars. And so what I'll do here is I'm going to modify this. I'm going to go to Edit Smart Album, add new rule. We'll go to rating, and we'll select 4 star. Let's click Save Edits. Now you can see, I just want to point something out. These are waterfall photos, right? Like they're in one way or another waterfall photos. They've been edited because they've got the edited badge and they've got 4 stars. But if I go, for example, to the keywords section here, there's not a single keyword. None of these photos have keywords. And if we go back to the info panel, you can see that there is nothing here in the metadata to say that this is a waterfall. We can go here to this image, same thing. There is nothing here that indicates that this is a waterfall. And so what this does is it makes it easier for me to find photos that I want to share. Now, here's the thing. Let's say I find a photo here that I want to share, and I share it. I export it and I share it to Instagram or some other social network. Well, I don't want it in here anymore, right? Like I've already shared it. And so what I want to do is make sure that everything in here is edited but not shared yet. So there are various ways that you can do it. But basically, all you need to do is change the criteria of any of these images so that they don't match the requirements of the Smart Album. So the easiest thing to do for me is I just give this a 5-star rating. So watch what happens when I press 5. See how that image drops out? It drops out because 5-star is not 4-star. And if we look at the criteria, it says is. It's not equal or greater, equal or less. It is. It has to be exactly 4 stars. So as soon as you change something that breaks the criteria of the Smart Album, that image drops out of view. And so what you could do, I can go ahead here, create another Smart Album, and I could say shared and edited waterfall photos. And so just like before, I can go ahead and select search. I'll type waterfall. I'll add a new rule. I'll say edited is, but this time I'm going to go ahead and change the rating to 5 stars. That way I know that anything that has 5 stars has been edited and shared. So I can go ahead and click on create. And then there you go. There's that image that I added the 5 stars to. And watch, if I go ahead here, let's give this one 5 stars. It drops out of view. And when I go back to this new album, you can see there is that other image. All right, now I'm going to make things a bit more fun. I'm going to get a little bit more specific. And this to me is the best use case for me. Again, I mentioned how the thing that I spent the most amount of time on is trying to find photos to edit. And so what I want to do is I want to, let's say I'm in a certain mode where I want to find waterfall photos, but that I took in Oregon with specific cameras. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a new Smart Album, and I'll call this Unedited Waterfall Photos taken in Oregon with Sony A7R models. Now, you can abridge this however you want. It'll show, but again, I just want this here so you can see it as you're watching this video. So let's go ahead and build the rules. And I actually do think it's helpful to type this out because with it typed out, you know what you need to do to build the rules. So let's go ahead and select search. Just like before, I'm going to type in waterfall. And we'll go and select edited status as unedited. Now let's go ahead and add a new rule. And I'm going to select camera. And here's the thing with camera metadata. I've owned every model of the Sony A7R line. And so there are different places where you'll have to select in this list. This is a list of every camera in my entire photo library synced to Lightroom. So you can see that there's Alpha A7R. I'll go back here, and now I'm going to swipe down. You'll see there's another one. I guess Sony at some point changed, maybe with a firmware update or something, changed the metadata for it to be Sony Alpha A7R. It is something you'll want to add. And then let's keep going down here. There is the A7R2. Then there is the A7R3. And then things change again with the R4 and R5 because now it's Sony ILCE 7R Mark IV. And then finally, 7R Mark V. I don't even need to select this one, but I will because I wasn't in Oregon at all when I owned this camera. I wish I was, but just to be thorough, here we go. So once again, all unedited waterfall photos with the entire Sony A7R line. Let's go ahead and click create. Now there's one thing that you might have noticed that I forgot to do. I didn't forget, but I wanted to see if you caught it. How did I not specify Oregon? You can see that Oregon is in the title here. So let's go ahead and edit. That's because I didn't add another criteria. If I add new rule here, I'll go to location. And then I'm going to drop down here and you can see this is all pulling from various types of metadata, including geotagging. So I'm just going to type Oregon and there you go. There's Oregon. So that further refines it. Let's click Save Edits. And now you can see here are all these waterfall photos. You can see how they don't have the edited badge. That's basically what Lightroom is using. And if we go to the info view, you can see that the geotag information shows Oregon. Now you can see I have 181 photos and I can tell you something. I have a lot more than 181 photos of waterfalls taken in Oregon that were not edited. So what's going on? Well, again, it really depends on the way the images in Lightroom are, I guess, configured, or the metadata associated with it. So check this out. Let's say I open up my photo library here, and I'm going to go to this Gorton Creek folder that I took in May of 2015. And you can see that here, this is an edited photo because I have 4 stars here, but there are a bunch of what I would consider to be waterfall photos that are not edited. But because these images do have the edited flag, they won't ever appear. And you can see if I click on one of them, it matches everything else. It was taken in Oregon, and it was taken with one of the Sony A7R cameras. So what do I need to do here to get these in? Well, I'm going to start by selecting everything here, and I'm going to deselect anything that has 4 stars. So these images, because they're already edited, I don't want to reset the edits, which is what I'm about to do. So there, I've got these images here. And now if I go to photo, you'll see there's this option here to reset edits in 26 photos. So I'm going to click on that. And while that's happening, you might be asking, well, why do those photos have an edited badge if you didn't edit them? Well, in some cases, there are some things like depending on the raw default setting that you have, where you might have things like lens correction automatically enabled as part of that raw default. Well, that's an edit. And so it's not necessarily a false positive or a false negative, but by resetting the edits, you're making sure that absolutely nothing is done to them, including things like lens correction. You're bringing it back to its original state. And so here you can see now we have reset the edits over here. And so I'm going to go ahead and close this. And then let's go ahead and click on this album. And you can see here are the photos. If I go down, there is the album that was in the Gorton Creek, where we were just in. And so now they are in here in this album. So that's one of the things that you could do, as well as if you want to go through some of the existing albums that you have, where if you're certain that certain photos should appear in that Smart album, you can find them, the sources of them, and audit them and see like what's going on. And when I did that, I was like, oh, well, I told the Smart album to have only unedited photos. There are ways around it. You could kind of change the criteria around. Instead of using unedited, for example, like if I edit this here, instead of using unedited, I can add a rule where I go to rating, and I say the rating is 0 stars, because I know that all of my edited photos will have a 4-star or a 5-star. And so I can go back here and remove this one and click Save Edits. And so you can see this does a better job. It brings in a lot more waterfall photos. Again, they still match the criteria. Like they're in Oregon. They were taken with a Sony A7R model camera. But again, the thing is, some of them might have the edited badge. And so, for me, this is actually how I do it. I wanted to show you different ways of how you can approach the same end result. You want waterfall photos that haven't been edited, that were taken with various Sony A7R models in Oregon. There are different approaches. I do personally find, knowing myself, I don't care whether it shows the edited badge or not. Like, I don't know really quickly if I edited the photo, but I know that edited photos have a 4-star rating. So by saying only show me 0-star ratings, that basically does a much better job. So with that, I hope this kind of opens up your mind. You can be as flexible as you want. You can tailor the Smart albums to your type of photos, but using that same overarching theme of, I want to see my edited photos that I've shared, and my unedited photos of a certain type, so that I can focus on editing those. That's what I do. I go to that Smart album and I just spend time editing those photos. So that's just a tiny little part of Lightroom. I mean, it's so powerful. And if this is something like, I want to learn even more, I want to know everything there is to know about Lightroom Desktop and Lightroom Mobile and Lightroom Web, then please do check out my course called Lightroom Everywhere. I am very proud of this course. I mentioned it in most of my videos because I spent a lot of time making sure that when you're done with the course, you'll know everything that you need to know about the Lightroom Cloud ecosystem. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. I also mentioned that I have a video on versions. please do not skip this video. It is also one of Lightroom's most powerful tools. Check it out. If you found this video helpful, do give it a thumbs up, please, because it does help me a lot. And if you're not subscribed, click on subscribe and the bell icon to get notified of all future videos. Thanks a lot, everyone.